Thank you, Mr. President. A new story was published today about the extent of Mr. Robert F. Kennedy's involvement in the 2019 measles outbreak in Samoa, and it shot a chill down my spine. And I am not, that's not a rhetorical flourish. I read it and I felt hot. I felt angry. I felt worried. We already know that he flew halfway across the world to Samoa to spread lies about the measles vaccine and discourage people from taking it. We already know that as a result, there was a measles outbreak. 5,000 people got measles. 83 people died. 79 of them were children. But I think there is a new fact here that is worth lingering on. He saw it as a great research opportunity. He saw it as a great research opportunity. He literally took an informatics expert, someone who studies how people receive information, and he took him with him to Samoa to run a, quote, natural experiment, studying what would happen to kids if they weren't vaccinated. And let me tell you why this is personal to me. My dad is my hero. May his memory be a blessing. And he's my hero for a number of reasons, but among them, he was a young doctor and he was reading the New England Journal of Medicine. He was right out of medical school. And he read about something called the Tuskegee experiments. And what happened in the Tuskegee experiments is that the United States Public Health Service withheld life-saving medication from African-American men to, quote, observe the disease process. They considered these men expendable. They provided half of the cohort with penicillin, which they knew would cure syphilis, and half of the men with a placebo without telling them to, again, observe the disease process. And so my dad went on the record, and Congress actually intervened many years later with Tom Harkin and on a bipartisan basis, making it explicit that the United States Public Health Service has to observe the Hippocratic Oath, do no harm. Do no harm. And it's a dark history for America, but a proud moment as I think of my father and his legacy. But the one thing I never thought would ever occur is that more than 50 years later, we would be at the precipice of confirming a person to run the Department of Health and Human Services, who in this era, 50 years after the Tuskegee experiments, flew to Samoa, encouraged people not to take the measles vaccine, watched 5,000 people get sick, watched 83 people die, watched 79 kids die, and said, this is a real opportunity for data collection so we can see how this plays out. I'm still a little shocked that this person isn't going to be rejected 100-0. I understand partisanship. I understand loyalty. I'm not immune to partisan pressures on my own side. But this guy's different. This guy is about to run a Department of Health and Human Services. And he doesn't have just like one weird idea about one certain aspect of public health. He's a person who has flown across the planet to cause outbreaks of diseases that are generations in our past. And to add insult to injury, he is repeating the moral mistakes of the Tuskegee experiment that has been actually outlawed by the United States Congress. And so I'll be talking about this more, but I'm just hoping that we fight about a lot of stuff in this building. But I know that there are a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that take their obligation seriously to provide advice and consent to the President of the United States, whether you voted for him or not, whether your state voted for him or not, that this is an opportunity to say we're a separate and co-equal branch of government, and if you're a Republican, say, listen, I support this president, but I don't support this nominee because I don't want measles or mumps or rubella or polio to make a comeback. I yield the floor.